Hi everyone, my name is Cheryl and I'm with Deep Creek Vintage in Fredericksburg, Virginia. And I'm happy to be here with you on the DIY Page Network, where a lot of our retailers from around the globe, probably, Canada or North America anyway, will be sharing their creative endeavors with you. There are a lot of creative, wonderful women, and I'm happy to be part of the tribe. My shop is named Deep Creek Vintage. We are located in Fredericksburg, Virginia. We are right off of I-95, midway between Washington, D.C. and Richmond, Virginia. Exit 126. We're a little bit south off of on Route 1. So if you're in the area, we'd love to have you stop by and see us. You can find us on Facebook and on Instagram, and I'm getting ready to start a new vlog on YouTube because we have a lot of different projects coming up and I wanted to share those. Actually, that's how. Hi Susan, hi Sasha, thanks for joining. My name is Cheryl. So a few weeks back, or a couple of months ago, I had been planning to chronicle a project that we had going on. It's a personal project. We're building a barn out on our family farm. Hey April, out in Culpeper, Virginia. We just purchased it last year and we started building a barn because every girl needs a barn at some point in her life. It's been something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. So we have a lot of projects that are going to be going on there and I'm going to be chronicling those. So when Debbie mentioned that she was going to start the DIY network, I thought, well, I'm going to move out of my comfort zone a little bit just doing the YouTube, so why not do it on Facebook as well? So I'm really happy to be here. We have a lot in store in the coming months, from just regular craft projects, furniture painting, of course, building. I plan to use DIY products to do all kinds of things, from painting floors, and just, you'll follow along. It'll be a lot of fun, believe me. So my show is going to be every other Tuesday, right here at 2 p.m. on the DIY page. Let's see. So my shop is Deep Creek Vintage in Fredericksburg. So it's an antique shop and we are located in a 17th or 18th century manor house. Let me get this straight. 18th century manor house, which is a lot of fun. People really like that. When you look at it from the front, it looks really huge, but it's just a typical, hi Lori, it's a typical older house, which it doesn't go very deep, but it's a lot of fun. It has its challenges because it's almost 300 years old, as any of us would, right? And but it's a lot of fun. And there's 10 other vendors here that share the space with me, and we have a couple of new ones moving in. So we have a lot of fun, and it's really nice to be able to use the different rooms to decorate them and show people how you would use painted furniture and vintage and antiques in their home. That gives us a little bit of an advantage, I think. It's a nice place to come and peruse and spend some relaxing time. There's no greater compliment to me than to see people walk in with their Starbucks on a Saturday morning just to relax and kind of decompress from their week. Because like I said, we're right off of I-95, so there's a lot of traffic around here. So we're happy to provide that for everybody. So thanks for joining me today. We are going to be 6 years old. Our 6th birthday is coming up. Our anniversary is coming up next month. So if you're in the area, on July 13th, we're going to be having our Picnic in the Garden celebration. We will have DIY paint demos. We will have IOD demos in tandem with it. We're looking at getting a chair caner to come out. And it should be a lot of fun. We always decorate the house all up, and we have a great front porch that everybody likes to shop on, and we have a lot of good times. So today, thank you for joining me, and we are going to be working on some boho-inspired porch sitters. And they're really easy to make. They're a lot of fun because you can get really creative with them. They're not very expensive. You need to start off with a 4x4 fence post, or just a pressure-treated post. And I am not at all afraid of letting these sit out on our porch. Hey, Christine, thanks. Because I have made signs with clay paint, with the DIY paint that have lasted several years with no kind of anything, no kind of protection on them at all. So it doesn't bother me at all to be able to put these directly on the porch and let them sit out there. And Lord knows it's been raining in Virginia the last couple of years. So there's always that to keep in mind. But anyway, we're just a regular 4x4 treated post. And it doesn't have to be a treated post. It's just kind of one that I had in the wood pile. And this is the first one that we have. It's kind of hard to see. I've put the IOD mold on it. And this one is 24 inches. I took a photo out on our front porch yesterday, and they fit really nice. They were really a nice scale. And this one is 18 inches. And this one has the DIY paint on it. We're going to use a patriotic color napkin, kind of into this bandana design this year. And we are going to decoupage that on there. And then the last one is 12 inches. So it's just regular board and painted. And these we used the DIY stamps and the knob topper and the Indie Folk and some golden ticket. So we're going to be working on that. And here's my napkins. So this I just picked up at, let me turn my notifications off. So if Lori, the paint tends to harden over a period of time, and I really can't answer that. All I can do is tell you that I have these signs that have been outside. They've been in and outside, mostly on the porch, but we've also left them outside in the rain, and they've been totally fine. I'll put a picture up on my page if you like. I'm going to turn the notifications off so I can make sure I'm getting everything in the view here. So these are the little napkins I picked up. I picked these up at Marshall's, which is right down the street. I did pick up a more expensive set of napkins, and I could not get them apart for anything. It was like that they were glued together, so they weren't as pretty as these anyway. So most napkins are 3-ply. These just happen to come apart very, very easily. And I kind of cheated, and yeah, it just takes a little bit of finagling, and you can take that next one off. Oh, I think I forgot. So what I did when I was practicing with this method and the colors that I wanted to use as the base, I found out very quickly. I started with the Hay Sailor and the Marquee and then the beadboard, and I tried them all as the base, and the dark blue color made this particular napkin, it kind of dulled all the colors, so I didn't want to use that. The red wasn't as dull because there's a lot of red in the background of this particular napkin, but it did dull the white a little bit. And the best choice was definitely using the white base on it because it didn't really change the colors at all. And I really kind of thought the opposite. I thought maybe the white would wash out the colors of the napkin, but that just didn't happen for us. So I do have one I started. So let me show you the stamps. I'm starting with the Indie. I have the Indie stamp set by IOD. And what I did was I do have a star stencil, but I didn't want to be that traditional. So I went through all of my stamp packs, and I found the things that the little pieces that I thought looked most like stars. And these two are out of the Indie. Can you see that? And those were a lot like stars. So it wasn't literal. It was just the intention of it. And that's what I think people get. And that's what gives us a little bit of our boho vibe. And I also used, there's a lot of choices to use on the knob toppers. So the ones I used on there were, they kind of look like snowflakes by themselves, but when you use them as stars, they didn't. So there's a couple of those, and I'll get back to those again later. So if you have those, and if you don't, we know where to get them. You can get them on deepcreekvintage.com. My store is live, and as soon as we finish here, I will be live with offering our DIY paint as well. So we use, for the napkin decoupage, we use liquid patina. And liquid patina is really good because you can use it as a top coat by itself. You could use it as a glaze if you want to mix other colors with it. That works really well. You can use it as a transfer medium, and today we're going to use it as our decoupage medium. You could put them on wet. You can paint on the liquid patina and then put down your paper or your napkins or whatever wet. But I'm going to use the iron method today, and it worked so fabulously with this. And the one thing that I want to tell you to be aware of, because yesterday when I was adding these, I used one coat. I put on one coat of liquid patina before I ironed on, you know, you let it dry and then iron on the napkin, which it worked okay. There's a little bit of wrinkle in it, which you can't see because it's too busy of a pattern, but you can feel it. And that has a lot to do with the porosity of whatever the surface is. And it's the same thing with any paint or any product that you put on, whether it's a piece of furniture, wood, or anything. The porosity has a lot to do with how your product that you put on will absorb into your surface. So this, we had an unfinished piece of wood, and then on top of that you had a porous paint, and I just used the one coat for this, and I mean, it's on there. It worked fabulously, and when I put my top coat on, it'll be perfectly fine. But if there's ever an instance where it's not sticking as well, you can always go ahead and you can put the second coat on, which I did do that on here. Well, the liquid, you can't see it, but so this is, I mean, it feels like a top coat on there, but you're going to see it's going to do really great. So as you can see here too, my napkin just happened to be large enough to fit around 3 sides with a little bit of extra. So in order to take that off, I am going to take a sanding sponge, and I'm just going to lightly go across, and it's going to rip it to just how I need it to be. If I can look at it at the same time, and it's going to easily come right off. See, it made a really nice, can you see that? It made a really nice edge. And whatever's not there, I can do it when we do the next one. So the thing about it fitting on the 3 sides is, do you try and get it to match up on the 4th side? Yeah, I've got the kind of personality where I have to try and get it to match up on the 4th side. The first side that I did, which is this one, I tried to get my diamonds right down the middle, which I came pretty close, but it didn't quite happen on all the other sides. But that's the way it goes. So I'm going to turn this down, and I'm going to work on showing you some more of the project. All right. So like I said, I'm going to try and line it up. Let's see, it kind of depends on the pattern match. It's like doing fabric and upholstery. And you have to hope that the pattern repeat is the same on every piece. And that doesn't always happen, and that wouldn't be something that I could be in control of at all. But yay. So even though my napkins were kind of inexpensive, they were a good deal because the patterns match up. I'm going to grab my iron, and I have it on the, actually none. It goes off automatically. So I put it on the wool setting. Let's see if it's still hot. It's a little bit. So I guess it's matched up. There's a lot of points that you can use to match it up, and hope they're okay. And it looks like it is. Can you see how I'm matching it up here? So it should match up. The same there. So I'm going to go ahead and start cheating. Can you see okay? And I've got it on the corner, and I'm just going to flip my block. And it only takes a few minutes to get the patina to kind of melt. They melt in, and they become one. Except for my iron turned off a minute ago. I don't know, I kept looking at, bandanas have been around forever, right? And I kept looking at them this year because I have this fabric garland that I used for Christmas, and I wanted to turn it into red, white, and blue because I'm going to be redecorating our porch at the manor house. That's what I refer to my shop a lot as the manor house, because that's what it is. It's an old farmhouse, And it was referred to as, it was known as Martin's Manor back in the, oh gosh, probably the 30s and 40s. I could tell you some stories about the history of our shop. If you look us up, go to my Facebook page, you'll see on my header, you'll see a picture of it. It's a pretty good picture of it. And we do give tours here, and it's got a nice varied history to it. Because it's been around 300 years, you would too. So see, this is already, it's already kind of become one with the block. And it's not even that hot. I probably could have put it on a higher setting. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll see the truth will be told if some of the white is going to show, which I could always add molds or some kind of something or another if that were to happen. And it looks like it did in a little bit. We can fix it up. Oh yeah, there's a lot there. I think I got a little overzealous, so I'll probably go back and patch it. Or add a mold or something. See, I got a little overzealous. Of course, it would look nice if that were the distressing too, so that's always an option. So there you go. See, it's on. I don't even know if I could try and get my fingernail in there. No, it's in there. The end a little bit because I don't know if you can see I didn't do that part, but yeah, so that's nice and smooth, and I'm really happy with it. I think I'm going to go ahead and use the liquid patina to put a top coat on. So like I said, I started with the white. You could use Big Top for this too, or you could wax it. Wax would be nice. Don't overwork it unless you try out your napkin, because you never know what kind of ink that was used with it. You don't want to reconstitute it to the point where it starts to bleed. Of course, that would be really boho, right? It really doesn't take long at all if you have somebody to cut your boards for you. So let's see, 24 and 18 and 12 inches, you could probably get 4 columns or more out of a 4x8, which are what, maybe $8 at Lowe's, and they'll cut it for you. I would get the kids in on this too. Maybe we'll do this project. Maybe we'll do this project at our birthday celebration. A lot of people think you should if you have a store, you should call it your anniversary. Ready to make a mold? Are you all familiar with IOD molds? They're really great. I love them. There are so many different uses for them, from the furniture, from furniture to crafts like we're going to be doing. It's just so much fun. Plaques, we've done all kinds of things with them. So with this, my preference is to use the IOD air dry clay. I do like the Part A, Part B resins for making, but I have a lot of sensitivities to kind of smells and chemicals and things like that. So I try to stick with this. It just works a lot better for me personally. Close up my patina. So with the clay molds, what you want to do is you want to make sure that they're nice and clean. And I just brushed this out from what I was using yesterday. And a trick is to use just regular old kitchen cornstarch, right? And get it inside. This might have had enough in it. Not too much that it'll alter your medallion or whatever you choose. It's a very classical, but it still had I thought it was kind of boho. And I teach people how to use these in our workshops in our shop. And you know, and just with painting or anything else, we all have a different, what I call hand. And your hand, hey there, Andrea, thanks for coming. Your hand is how heavy or how lightly you do something. And so some of us, I know people who can paint, you know, a whole piece of furniture with just a half a can of paint. Some people use a can and a half. And that depends on how you use or how much product that you use. And that has to do with how much, how heavy your hand is or how light your hand is. So with things like this, you know, you have to remember it's just clay. It's not like you're, you know, hammering in big nails or anything like that. And there's a little bit of trick, which these new molds are really great because they have the micro rim on them. I don't know if you're familiar with them or not, but there's a micro rim on there, and it just eliminates getting all of those little hairy pieces that, you know, come off the sides, and it just gives you a nice cleaner. So I usually work from the inside, and I try to work on a 45-degree angle. So if I'm working on a, hi there, Debbie, thanks for coming. If I'm working on, just say this long piece here, I would definitely just start from the middle and work this way. You don't want to, really don't want to start working from the end and come this way, because a lot of times it'll lift out, especially if your clay is really good. So see how I'm holding my thing at like almost like at a 45-degree angle, and it seems to work almost every time. And watch it not work this time. That would be funny. Sort of funny. So why don't you all tell me what you like to do? Do you like to paint? Do you like to create different crafty things? I'm kind of on a mission this month. Like I said, our birthday is coming up next month. See how I'm just rolling it out. I put it flat down on my piece and I'm just rolling it out. Ta-da. And I forgot my glue. Let me go grab that. There always has to be something you forget, right? So, so my mission is I'm going to be decorating the front of my the front porch of our shop. We're going to be switching over from summer to a different summer, which would be 4th of July and patriotic. We have a nice red front door, so that'll be fun. And I'm going to be using a lot of these things. And my goal is to see how far I can go with each of these the red, white, and blue 8-ounce jars of the DIY paint. I don't know. I don't know if I'm challenging myself or I'm just curious, but I just thought it would be fun. So I've already done a small project, and it was a palette flag. And I'm going to be working on a big American flag made out of 2x4s, pieces of 2x4, and that's going to go in our front hallway. So I'll be happy to share that with you because I think it's going to be fun. So I just take my finger and spread on the glue. I don't want too much glue because it's not a heavy anything. It's just really light clay because I don't want it to slide down my project. And if it does start to slide down your project, you can always tape it with painter's tape. There. Yeah, isn't that pretty? That is a really, oops, it's so tall. It's a really nice design there. So now these dried overnight, so they did crack a little bit. If I decide to paint them, which I will, we will do something with them, right? Because that'll look pretty. It won't matter to me. It doesn't matter at all. It's probably due to the conditions that were here in the shop with the air conditioner on. If it was more humid and stuff, it probably wouldn't have cracked as much. If I dry it with the blow dryer, it'll dry faster, so it's probably got more, more reason to crack if I do that. So there's that. So this one was painted with the Hey Sailor, and so far we've just added the medallion from the Classic Elements IOD mold. And then this next one, this is a lot of fun. This is where we use the stamps right? And we stamped using the IOD stamps from both the Indie Folk and the Knob Toppers in Golden Ticket. So we're going to open up that. Have y'all tried Golden Ticket yet? Oh, now we know why Debbie called it or named it Golden Ticket, right? It's so beautiful. It's really nice. So you can use it as a glaze. And if you put multiple coats on, it loses a little bit of its transparency. So you can use it more like a heavier paint. That would be pretty much true with everything. I'm just going to go ahead and paint it on. It's not my preferred method. I would really like to use a stamp or something, but this worked really good yesterday. Let's see if you can see. Got dirt on there. So I think, what do we call this? Going rogue? And I'm not even sure that it will show up that well on the camera due to the transparency. You want to be very careful that it doesn't slide. I was so happy to find these in the packs because I just really didn't want to do traditional stars. Here's one. Because we'll have a lot of other traditional elements. I'll probably do another set. We cut like 3 or 4 sets. So what do you think? Do you think this would be a nice thing for people to do in the garden at our birthday celebration next month? Would you like to do it if you came to a store? Go. Let's see if we can choose some of the ones from, these are the Knob Toppers. They're so fun. If you look at all of them, there's even like the sun here. There's a medallion here that's really pretty that would work well. Even the fleur-de-lis. So it's just the thought of using them. And there's that one there. I'm going to use that one because that's bigger. There's 2 different sizes, right? Because they make knobs in 2 different sizes. Yeah, I'm going to do this one. This one almost reminds me of a coin. This one reminds me of a coin, sort of. Let's go with those. But there's a lot to choose from. And as I was doing this yesterday too, I was thinking, I had on a black shirt and I got the Golden Ticket on the black shirt and it was so pretty. Andrea's here, I think. She's painted on fabric. I don't know if she's used the Golden Ticket or not, but let me put it up here. So we just place it down. You want to make sure it doesn't shift as much as possible and pick it back up, and there you go. And I don't want them to be perfect either. So we'll see how the different designs we chose worked. Oops, I lifted that, it stuck to my finger. This one. And then you can always just do a half, right? Just let it stick off and do half. Let's see, I did, which one did I use? This one. So I just lined them up right next to each other and made a line. So let's do that. I was thinking maybe I'd go ahead and put a gold line around where the red and the white meet as well. Just because. No particular reason. Just because. Just because I can. think we're doing pretty good on time, right? I don't know what time it is. It's only 1/4 after. I really appreciate you guys joining us and taking part in the DIY network. There we go. And so all I did to get the kind of like, they call it a flame stitch in fabric. It was really popular way back when. And I just kind of took my, was it 3/4 1-inch brush and just went back and forth like this. And it gives it a nice topper. Should we do something to the medallions? Would you do something to the medallion? Oh, thank you, Debbie. All of the ladies that are making up the DIY network are so talented. I've been watching them for a long time, and I haven't gone live. I haven't shared a lot about my shop, only because I don't have a lot of time to do that. As you can imagine, owning a business as large as this one, and it's varied, takes a lot of time and energy. The gold one, yeah, wouldn't it, Christine? We'll do that. When that dries off a little bit, I'll get some painter's tape and do that. So I'm going to show you how I made my little toppers. You can see that we just drilled a hole in the middle. And then I took just 3 pieces of twine that I pulled out of my little craft bucket. I really was looking for one, but I ended up liking this one much better. And I just put a little glue where they met at the bottom, and I wrapped some of the napkin that I had taken off, one of the plies that I had taken off, with some glue, and it's holding together really well. And then I added some golden ticket to it. I don't know. I just didn't want to do the like sparkly sparklers on the top, which you could do that too. That would be fine. And then you could glue it and then stick them right in there. And they kind of add a little bit of pizzazz. I don't know which one was the wet one. Add a little bit of pizzazz to it. So let's take, let me find the wet one. So that's the wet one. So you can actually paint these molds when they're wet. That would be totally fine. What you want to do is just make sure that there's some kind of a crust over the top first before you do that. I'm not going to do it yet because it's not quite dry enough yet. But if I took the blow dryer to it and just let the crust over it, you could go ahead and paint it and let it dry. It would be totally fine doing that. Okay, so now we've got that one that's dry. Let me just put some of the gold on my finger and just go over the top, because if you don't like it, you can always go back and paint over it, right? Because I like to tell the folks that come to my workshops that it's only paint. There are no emergencies with paint, unless you spill it on the floor like I did last week. But it was DIY and it came right up, so I was really happy about that. So you can use this just as if it were a gilding wax, but it still allows you to put a top coat over top of it. Can you see? Do you like that? I like that. I like that. It's very traditional, but it's pretty. And it'd be, which one is my, I guess I can only do the one that way. Let's try some red. You could do the same thing with the red. Or we could just paint it and then, go back. Maybe this will turn out copper because there's gold on my hand, my finger. So, like I said, we just got done building a barn out in Culpeper, Virginia. And someday, It's always been my someday project that I wanted to do, and it's someday now. When I was younger, I didn't think it would ever get here, but boy, does it come up fast. So my granddaughters and I have been playing in there when we can, and they have started calling it the memory making barn. Well, I sure hope they're going to like to do crafts, because I intend to have workshop type events out there, creative retreats, and get some local and far off artists to come and invite you lovely folks if you'd like to do that as well. Oh, that looks pretty. That turned out really nice, didn't it? I like that red. Let's see if I can change. I like the red. And then there's the gold. Liking it. So what else could we do? Actually we could, I'll find that wet one. There it is. We could actually do all kinds of things. There's all of this space left to do. More, I don't have a lot of, don't you like the red? I think so too. See, in my head I was thinking, oh, the gold would be perfect, but the red is striking. Yeah, the red is really pretty. So now I want to see what you all make. And if you go ahead and you make these projects, I would really love to, if you shared like on this post, like on this live, you could share it maybe, or you could post it on my page, which is Deep Creek Vintage. It's on Facebook as well. I really like that. What else do I need to show you? I think we're about done. Should we do some medallions on here as well? I wish I had my other stamps here with me, but I don't. I only brought down what I needed. Let's see what they look like. Maybe in the red. I don't know. Yes to what, Maddie? Gold? Gold medallion, the little medallions again? Because we can always paint over it if we don't like it, right? Because it's only clay. Paint. I was trying to make all three of them kind of different. They're pretty. And we have lots of stamps that would be more classic looking if you wanted to do something like that. Or definitely you could do more rustic. There's just so many choices. Of course, I like choices, don't you? Did I finish telling you about the barn? Anyway, we're going to put kitchen in there, and we're going to have all kinds of facilities. So I've always wanted to have barn sales. And when my husband was in the military for many years, and when I would dream about not being in the military, I'll do red and gold, because we'll do that. I'll do red and gold. Back then, there was no internet, and the only way you could learn or take kind of retreats was to spend thousands of dollars and travel far away to attend them. And my husband, like I said, my husband was in the military. There was no way we could afford that. And my kids were little. You just, there are seasons in your life, and there are times that you just have to make things wait. And so that was always one of my goals, was to be able to do this, or to do what I'm going to do in my barn. But I never thought in a million years that maybe I would be one of the people that would be able to offer that. And guess what? I am going to. It's going to be a casual thing. I certainly don't have huge aspirations about it, but I like the thought of being able to go someplace and relax and have a good time, and close by my area. Okay, let's try the red, which it might pull some of that gold off. I didn't bring any wipes with me or anything yet either. Yeah, the red doesn't show up as much. thing about going rogue with these as well is, you know, it's not perfectly straight across, and it always just depends on how much moisture is in your wood. These you could definitely use a stamp pad for. So here's the red on the blue, which it really just doesn't show up quite as much, but it still looks like a nice, see, yeah. Well, that's the best way I can think, Debbie, to describe it is the seasons of your life, because, I don't know, I'm getting in one of the last seasons. And, you know, when I was younger and I would think about all the things that I wanted to do, but I couldn't do because, you know, when my husband was in the military, it was like really kind of consuming at certain points. And back then, for women, there was, were a teacher or you were a nurse. Nothing against that, but they just didn't fit. They just didn't fit what I had in mind for myself. So now that I have a little bit more maturity, I can look back and think of it that way. But I have granddaughters too. I have 3 granddaughters. So at first I was like, oh, I'm too young to be a grandmother, but boy, it is the best role I've ever had. I could definitely say that. So we've got red. I'm going to do the red on the white. So thank goodness we left one of these. Yeah, it's a little bit dark because it has gold mixed with it, but I like the red. The red would be really pretty. It's almost kind of paisley to go with the bandana. Do this one, but I would definitely pull that gold off first. These would make a nice workshop. If any of you give workshops. Oops. Do any of you have any questions about the DIY paint or Iron Orchid Designs? I've been with Debi for going on 3 years, I think, this fall. I love the clay paint because it offers a lot of versatility, and I like that I can go back the next day and pick up and blend some more. And it goes so far. The paint goes so far. And I love to share it. I love to share it with the folks in my area. And now I get to share it with folks all over. So that's fun, as do all of the other great ladies in the network. Isn't that cute? So I guess, let me put this next to that. Aren't they cute? Let me do this. They're so tall. They're not really so tall, but I'll put them up and you can see your handiwork. Compare it to the before. I'm going to pull this out, so hopefully I won't lose you. Is it like that way? Oh, well, let's do it not that way. Hi there. Oh, it was telling me. There we go. This is so funny. I don't know what I'm doing, obviously. There we go. Those look good, right? I like the red. I'm sorry. So there's the red. And then the blue with the red. You go far enough away. You see my sea queen in the background. Doesn't really go with this, but Close enough. How's that? Do you like your handiwork? Because you helped do that. So there's just so many options, right? That that we can come up with. There. Let's see if I can sit back there and talk to you for a minute. So did any of you have any questions? I'm back. I love this little project. I don't get time to do little things usually. You're laughing at me. Yeah, Christine, it is nice to create things because there is a lot of repetition these days. I know. Carrie, you got some of this blue paint. You can start doing it. I'll let you use some of my stamps if you want to come and do it. So I really appreciate you all coming to spend some time with me. Like I said, I will be here every other Tuesday, and pretty soon we'll be chronicling some other big projects like painting my big barn floor. It's huge. We're going to be working on the studio, and we'll be creating some other big kind of projects. I'll leave that to be a surprise. So yeah. So anyway, I'll see you in 2 weeks here. Next project, you're going to love it. I'm going to put a picture on my Facebook page, deepcreekvintage.com. We have some salvage dragonflies that I created several years ago. And we're going to put some of those together, and we're going to use these great products and do some salvage dragonflies. They're hanging on the back of my cottage, and everybody loves them, and they would like them. And I don't know, just never gotten around to it. So I'm going to do it for all of you in 2 weeks. I don't know what the date, a Friday night project. Yeah, maybe, Christine, maybe we'll do it. I've got a pattern all cut out and everything like that. So I'm excited to work on that. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. deepcreekvintage.com. See you later.